Josh Wadell of VisaLaw.
Really appreciate, Chris, you and everyone who's put this on. This is incredible. Anything Memphis, startups, Memphis AI, I'm sure I speak for everybody here. We'd love to continue to support those kinds of maybe, time, money investments, whatever those might look like. Yeah, there we go. Let's get a clap. There we go. Absolutely. So my name is Josh Wadell. I'm co-founder, CEO of VisaLaw AI. I also have Greg Siskind here, who made the trip, one of our co-founders as well. You likely were not planning to hear about immigration legal tech today, but that's what I'm about to talk about. We are an AI software platform specialized in offering research and drafting solutions for immigration lawyers. It is a B2B SaaS product. We basically launched in 2024 and have seen multiple evolutions since then. But as I say in the tagline, we're AI by immigration lawyers for immigration lawyers. I'm going to talk a little bit about the problem and the solution we set out to solve. We as in the co-founders of the business, all come from a background in immigration law to some extent. I am the only co-founder who's not an immigration lawyer by training. I come from a business operations, legal operations background. And we just basically, Greg, got some early access to generative AI legal research tooling way back in 2023 before ChatGPT was publicly available. And we immediately saw the use case. And we knew that immigration was such a niche area that there likely would not be, at least initially, a lot of competition in that space. And we had a lot of industry experience. So the problem with immigration, or at least the problem we set out to solve, is immigration is very complex, right? We're not trying to maybe fix all the problems. We can't. There may be bigger or higher than what a SaaS company could resolve, right? But for lawyers, there is a ton of overhead, a ton of complexity, which equals basically lower margins for practitioners and equals basically fewer service offerings for individuals who need immigration help, or it means higher cost of services, right? So basically, a lot of people ultimately get priced out of being able to use immigration services. So without our product, we believe a certain case type, obviously immigration is very complex, could equate to 25 to 48 hours of hard cost. In other words, time spent in research and drafting and reviewing and editing. What our platform sets out to do is basically take at least 25 hours of that process and be able to provide that same output, that same deliverable in approximately 2 hours, using artificial intelligence, using increased sort of software workflows. So with that, we believe the direct costs can be substantially saved. So basically anywhere between $5,000 to $6,000 per case in terms of direct labor cost savings. So again, I talked a little bit about the solution. Basically, automation, reduced dependency on contractors as well. So a lot of, especially boutique firms, immigration firms, a lot of times outsource this work. So you have legal writers, a team of legal writers, either in the US or elsewhere, who are performing a lot of the really in the weeds data writing and research. Obviously, you can either insource that or just allow those same teams to do more of what they were doing. And then, of course, for firms, increase margins. So I want to talk a little bit about moats. So one of the big challenges for immigration is the data, right? Immigration law was one thing last week and it's something different this week. A lot of that changes with administrations. So the data set is unique. It's not the same as other types of law. So if you were to use a general legal research product, it wouldn't necessarily apply to immigration lawyers. So it represents a lot of challenges for our team, of course, but it also represents challenges for immigration lawyers because they're just trying to figure out, like, what is the current law for this kind of case type, for this kind of thing this week or this hour, perhaps. It's sometimes unbelievable how quickly the changes happen. But we have a team of people who are basically, it's their job to curate a data set that is real time, up to date. So we also offer curated data from some of the other largest publishers in immigration law. In fact, the largest immigration content publisher is the Immigration Bar Association, which we have an exclusive content partnership with, which also, of course, creates a huge moat. So Greg's over here. He's the immigration expert, 30 plus years as an immigration lawyer right here in Memphis. Again, maybe not something you would think about when you think of Memphis, Tennessee, having some of the country's most foreknown immigration experts, but we do. And then we decided, of course, software was a great opportunity for us. So how's it going? In 2024, we launched in January. By the end of 2024, we had reached 1 million in ARR run rate. We are, and in 2024, we were bootstrapped, right? Like our founders, we just decided, okay, let's do this. We spent a few $100,000 to get post-product, post-revenue. And then in January, we closed our first fundraise, which was right at 1.6 million. We are currently at around 1.5 ARR run rate and anticipate, and I'm going to get into what's next in the current slide. We've currently utilized around 12% of our fund, so we're very cash efficient. We have approximately 550 customers. We believe we have allowed attorneys to save over 25,000 hours. And again, mentioning that exclusive partnership. What's next? We hope to have 1,000 customers by the end of basically before the end of 2026, within calendar year 2026, with a goal of hitting 5 million ARR by 2027. There's some interesting pivots for us. You can actually vertical to global immigration. So we focus exclusively on US immigration right now, but there is global mobility, the movement of people across countries. Most international companies deal with this, in HR, corporate. So it's a really great vertical. So we could offer data and legal content from, obviously we could expand Canada, Mexico, EU, and find partners in those places as well. And of course, continue to disrupt immigration law for the better. We always wanted to disrupt immigration law, but I think for the better was always like, we just keep coming back to that. And of course, some goals to scale to support enterprise clients. So that can be security compliance, et cetera. We're already SOC 2 Type 2 certified, but plan to extend to others. Initially, we thought the US immigration market was just too small. And we thought that we would need to expand to other areas of law. But all the insight and advice we got was just to double down on immigration. So the total addressable market is somewhere under 700 million, and that includes law firms, in-house counsel. There's obviously corporate legal. So there's a lot of branches, and that's just the US market. So we believe we can actually capture a sizable portion of the market, maybe more than in some industries B2B that would seem unrealistic, like 30, 40% of a market, mainly because we just have such a unique entrance and established brand that we believe, ultimately with some of the moats we've created, it will be really hard for other competitors to see the kind of success we have. These are just some example projections through the rest of 2025. And our ask is essentially, if we get to this point, would be a pre-Series A raise of approximately $3 to $4 million with the goal of basically being able to scale to our revenue goal by basically a time frame of 16 to 18 months to 5 million or more. So thank you guys for your time.
You gonna take some questions?
Hello. Hi. I was wondering if you ever see this going direct to the consumer, like if I'm hiring somebody who's on a visa, can I do it like LegalZoom or partner, like somehow know that law firms use it so I can get a better rate or any kind of direction like that?
The answer is to be determined. I mean, honestly, I think we would not be opposed to something like that. There are legal considerations. There's something called the unauthorized practice of law. So, we couldn't technically represent people. It would be a limited scope engagement, right? So they would basically say, okay, I'm a consumer. I want to use your legal tech product. But if something messes up, like you're not my lawyer, right? So like you can't, like they don't represent you. So they're like kind of like LegalZoom and others. So it's a very limited scope. So we would be open to something like that. We think honestly, in the current state of immigration, with the level of complexity, we would tend to decide to maybe continue to use a lawyer if you do have really complex situation for your immigration situation. But I would say there's definitely a scale, right? TurboTax didn't illuminate accountants. Like there is a range of complexity with immigration, just like that. So we think we fall more on the high complexity scale because there's just so much room for AI to improve that. But I think there's definitely still a huge need for direct consumer services, and those products actually do exist. There's some good ones. Yeah.
For one, I am blown away that that's your business venture, because I completely support that entirely. So I have to ask you, I hate to use this word for sure, but you're gonna, I completely understand you can't represent legally, and I'm familiar with LegalZoom. I was actually at getting commissioned for that, helping people know about it. LegalZoom. So your business would be a directory for legal documents for accessing to understand in your hand, and you would provide that service for on demand if I needed it and I'm confused and I'm getting pulled over for immigrants, and plus this is only for immigrants, right?
Yeah, U.S. immigration.
So it'd be a directory for knowing your rights.
Yeah, if you're thinking of the B2C, so if you're talking direct to consumer, exactly. The way that those models generally work is they offer a service, like software as a service, just like anyone would be buying it. And then they may have like a network of lawyers, right? So you buy the subscription to help you file your H-1B visa. And then if something, you need assistance with that, they have a network of lawyers who you can then contact separately. That would be a separate, you would be actually like working with a law firm at that point. But yeah, our focus is, and again, I think also just from a scaling and growth standpoint, like B2B is also attractive in other ways, right? Like going direct consumer creates a lot more complexity in terms of like marketing and sales than, maybe you just have to go out and find 20 good clients B2B and you have a really successful business. So, there are differences. And I think the ceiling B2C is definitely much higher and ultimately probably where most people want to go with a lot of the professional service industries, especially. But at least from our standpoint, bootstrapping, doing what we know, B2B just ultimately felt like the right direction. And hopefully the way that regulations are currently, it will hopefully continue to lend itself to allow, these kinds of services to be more direct consumer. Whereas right now there's still, people can lose their law license and stuff, or you can, get a cease and desist or something. There you go. I think you're good.
Hello?
There
Okay.
you are.
Yeah. I'm gonna, because you're B2B and this really interests me, I'm gonna give you a little context. One of my revenue streams is I do market research on the component suppliers used in near-eye display optics for smart glasses. So it's light engines and waveguides. In doing this kind of work, I read a lot of patents, and if you look over time at US patent record in general, certainly in the areas that I cover, you'll see this kind of arc where tremendous overrepresentation of Asian research scientists, tremendous amount of US IP and research that's done at universities. And I'm curious if, I know that a lot of students feel it's very difficult to then get citizenship here. And there are a variety of visas. If you're VisaLaw, are you dealing with getting visas for people, or are you also providing legal services in terms of people that want to actually move to citizenship? Is that
Yeah, maybe so. I think, well, right now we only service lawyers, right? Like law firms, B2B directly. So we're not, so there's no, so the end client, Greg, is, I see him, he's got his mic.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've also, it depends on customizing the data set and the prompts for the audience. And so we thought about and had discussions with for example, the organization that represents all the farm advisors around the country, about having sort of a customized product for them. So we can take our immigration data set, our drafting tools, and sort of customize them for different markets. For students, I think, a couple of questions have been on this theme about, I guess, getting information down, at their level, and that's been, for us. And Josh was talking about before the challenge about whether we open up our data set maybe on a white label basis to other organizations like that are servicing, HR servicing employees, or foreign student advisors servicing students, and basically making sort of customized products that are not really sort of like out there on B2C, just like on the web, anybody can find it, but maybe for certain specialized audiences beyond just the lawyers.
Yeah, okay. So your service is offered to the companies that are bringing the talent. And okay, so I'm trying to think of where the customer would be if it's not individual students. Like if there's a organization.
People that are advising to a student, it's the in-house lawyer at a hospital that is advising a doctor on how they're making the application as well.
Okay. I'm gonna get really specific. Here's what I see happening. Okay, I see the U.S. having some of the top universities in the world, and you have elite universities. You have foreign students that come in, and a lot of research that's done in emerging technologies is being done by these students. A lot of them are Chinese. I know that a lot of them wanted to go into business here. The hurdles for citizenship for them were too high, and now there are many emerging technologies. One of them, for instance, very specifically being micro LED. Tremendous amount of this research was done in the US and the UK. And then you have Chinese companies largely capturing that market. Several of them by Chinese entrepreneurs that wanted US citizenship here, couldn't get it, and went to China, and now they will dominate that technology. I just think it's we have a very foolish system.
You're speaking to the choir. Sorry. Yeah, we're not going to disagree on any of this. Yeah, we're just trying to build tools that will hopefully, make, so you think about the challenges that are faced by the people doing this work every day, right? The stress and pressure of the lawyers representing these students or these doctors, and then, inheriting that. So, Greg, I don't know if you're, I hope it. I couldn't get it to work. Okay, there you go.
No, I mean, so in a lot of cases as well, I mean, one of the big problems with startup founders and with businesses that are trying to get into the space is the cost of legal services and having quality immigration representation and quality advice. And there is an access to justice gap that people hear about with respect to lower income and, with a lot of people that are undocumented. But there's also just in general, that 17,000 immigration lawyers is not enough to service the population that's out there. You may figure that there's maybe 4,000 or 5,000 that are servicing all of those people that you were talking about as far as that sub-market. And so one of the solutions is AI as a way to be able to offer a lot more services to a lot more of those people, so that and there's a tremendous amount of these people that you're talking about that go pro se, where they're just working on their own applications because the legal costs are just too high. So there is a connection between software like this, where a lawyer can service 2 or 3 times more clients, maybe more than that, than they do, and charge a lot less for each matter that they're working on, when they can deploy good AI solutions for those purposes. So I think there is a direct connection in a lot of cases between having a lawyer and having immigration success, and being basically, stuck pursuing immigration in another country because your U.S. immigration didn't work out.
And not to throw a wrench in what Greg's saying, but we also know with certainty that the government is using AI to screen visa applications. So it's basically going to be a world in which AI is helping draft the applications and AI is screening the applications, which is again interesting. Yeah.
I have one more question. It's kind of just slipped. Lawyers, do you guys work with I hope not like a specific law firm, or is it like a law firms apply to work with you guys, or like how do like your pool of lawyers work to help assist representation?
Yeah. So there are customers. So any immigration law firm, solo to enterprise to corporate legal, if they offer immigration services, would be our client. Our legal team, most of our co-founders are immigration lawyers by training, so they are able to provide a lot of that key insight around how we build the products. I guess the last interesting note I would add, and I know folks are probably trying to get out here, is immigration law is flat fee structured, which is also a really big deal when it comes to building efficiency. One of the other big challenges in most professional services, they bill hourly. So like if you have an AI that can do your work in 5 hours, what used to take you 20, are you still going to bill your client 20 hours, even though you just did it in 5, So the billable hour is kind of, there's some challenges for firms that still operate under that structure. But luckily, I think one of the reasons we've seen such quick adoption is because immigration firms have always been flat fee structured. So they can continue offering the same flat fee services they do, just being able to do them much faster. Awesome. Thank you, guys.